Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Latina Mic Drop. For today's discussion, we're going to talk about how you go from building and writing your manuscript to the market, turning a book into a business. So, we're here to explore how writing a book can be more than just a personal milestone. It can be a strategic business move, a credibility booster, and a powerful tool for growth. I'm here, your host, Miriam Simon, your leadership expert, happy to walk you through my journey through writing my book and having my coaching business. And there's a lot of hard-earned wisdom that I add into the book. And we'll be discussing how I wrote my book, how we've used it as a launch pad for further business success. So let's get into it. So let's start out by telling you why I wrote the book and how it relates to my career and my business philosophy. So writing is an extension of the business. Why write a business book? What inspired me to write the book? And did I always plan to use the book as a business tool, or did that emerge along the way? For me, the book was not even thought of in my own mind, in my own head. I had not thought about writing a book, nor had I thought about having my own business. But thankfully, the stars aligned and I was getting my coaching certification at work after advocating for myself and thinking about what it is that I wanted to do next and how I can help my community and the people that I was serving at work, right? I needed to level up, and how could I level up and how can I do it better? So I thought about becoming a coach. I started looking at what other people were doing and how people were becoming coaches. And I always loved John Maxwell. So I began looking him up on LinkedIn. Then I recognized that he was connected to Adriana Rosales from RMP Studios, who is actually my publisher. Then at the same time that I was writing to the Latinas 100, leaving a legacy and inspiring the next generation, an anthology series, I submitted my story. And then the new book came into play as to, hey, maybe you should write your own book. And then I thought about it. What inspired me to write the book was the fact that there's a lot of us who are feeling sidelined, and there's a lot of us who are looking for ways to amplify our voices. And unfortunately for us in the Latina community, sometimes we're not allowed to share. Sometimes we're not allowed to be boisterous in a way, right? To be able to demonstrate what we've done and how we've done it. And so it was very difficult for me to share all the achievements and wins that I had at work. And there really wasn't a clear avenue of how I could do that and get the recognition. And so it wasn't just about me. It was more about, how do I help the people that I'm helping, and how do I spread the word about it? How do I let other people know that this is what's going on? And then thankfully, because of my executive sponsor, who was an absolute fabulous coach, she taught me and gave me the gift of what coaching looks like. And therefore, that's how I got inspired to go ahead and write the book. And the book, Tattoos and Pearls, really is a story about how to own your life experiences, understand how they're contributing to your current life, and understand also the good and bad in everything, because sometimes we acknowledge the good, or sometimes we only acknowledge the bad, and we don't give credit where credit is due. And we can learn from both situations. We learn from negative experiences and positive experiences. And I've learned to learn from both. And so therefore, those are the pearls of wisdom that we gain. And that's where the pearls comes into play. And in the very beginning, I didn't know what kind of writer I was. So I was thinking, how can I write a story? How can I write a book? What am I going to write about? So I thought, okay, well, what else do I know? I know my life. I know what I've been through. I know how I've navigated my life, how I've become an executive, how I've, created my own path, how I looked for the answers, how I found the opportunities, how I connected with different people, how I used everything that I learned to an advantage, how I complemented my skills, how I went back to school after 15 years, how I used programs that were there to help me within my organization, to help myself, and then further on to help others. So therefore, once I was able and done with my coaching certification, it only made sense that it would be used as an avenue to talk to my clients and talk to the people. I was already thinking about serving my community and serving those people that are looking to, who are the ones that are the next legacy builders, the quiet climbers, the reinvention queens like me who are in their 40s, 50s, and are done raising their kids. They're probably empty nesters. And what do they do next, right? I was faced with that decision thinking, you know what, my kids, yeah, they're here with me and they're in their 20s and they're still going to need me and they're still going to want to be with me. But the role is very different. It's not like when all I did was about them. And now it's more about what is it that I want to do with my own time and how do I spend that time and what do I do with it? So that's how the book came into play. And I said, how can I help other women like me navigate these spaces that aren't really built for us? Because let me tell you, the only reason why I made it so high and so much, not only because I worked hard for it and I did what I needed to do, but I also had an executive sponsor who helped me navigate the space. And that's why once she retired and she left, it was a very difficult decision for me on how to continue, but I have continued and I have been able to navigate that 3 years later. And now it's more about how do I help others? And now I'm become the executive sponsor. And so the book, it just made sense. It just made business sense for me to start my own business, to be able to bring coaching to my clients, not just to the people that I work with, but also the people that are outside of my organization, outside of the New York, New Jersey area, to be able to show them and give them the gift of what has been gifted to me by working with the coach. And so I didn't just work with one, I've worked with various coaches along the way who have helped me navigate many different pieces of my life, from motherhood to career, to navigating my personal feelings and my personal challenges, like with my body image, even like the relationships, all kinds of different things that they've helped me navigate, reorgs, leadership changes, all kinds of things. And they really have been integral into my success. And that's why now I decided I wanted to come up with my own leadership methodology and be able to share that with others. And so, who was my ideal reader and how did you write with them in mind? So, for me, writing to professionals, in thinking about who my ideal reader was and how I wrote with them in mind, I was thinking about, okay, this is my story, but how can they benefit from what I'm writing? And how can they benefit from activities that I've done so that they can do it in their own life and take what applies and take what doesn't apply? So that's why the Ink and Pearls leadership methodology is in each chapter, so that when they read the chapter, they can go to the back of the chapter and then say, this is the ink part of it. And this is the pearl strategy that was learned in that lesson from my personal story. And then now, how can you use that within your own life? And so I provide activities and I provide a section at the end of each chapter where each person can navigate through their own life experiences and use the methodology that I created. And the ideal readers are people like first gen, people who are the onlys, right? So I'm like a double only most of the time, or triple only. Sometimes I'm the only LGBTQ person. Sometimes I'm the only woman on the team. Sometimes I'm the only Mexican on the team. There might be other Latinos, but sometimes I'm the only Mexican. Sometimes I'm the only Latina or female. So there's just different ways in which I'm the only. I kept thinking about those people and also the cultural aspect of it, how to use it to your advantage. Sometimes we think that we have nothing to offer, but the reality is that we have so many life experiences that are beneficial in the workplace, in our communities, in all the different spaces that we take up in organizations and volunteer programs and volunteer organizations, in all the different circles that we're a part of. And so us not expressing ourselves and not talking about it is sometimes what holds us back. But in the book, I want people to start to become introspective and taking a look at what their personal value is and what their personal experiences are to bring them forward. And that's why I struck a balance between practical advice and personal storytelling, right? I wanted you to know my personal story so that you can understand that you're not alone. There's some very personal things that I put in the book that were very hard for me to even share. But that's the reason why I put it in the book. The reason why I put it in the book was so that all of us women that have gone through many different vulnerable moments in our lives, we can go ahead and talk about it as women, as mothers, as first, as Latinos, as professionals in corporate America. There's so many different things that we go through, but I wanted you to know that these are the different things that you're not alone in anything. And that even though in our culture we don't talk about it, I wanted you to know that it's okay with the person that you feel or persons that you feel comfortable with sharing, or at least you can see familiarity or see a degree of community in what I wrote. Now, how did I organize my material, especially with complex and experience-based knowledge? What was your biggest challenge when translating what you do into what you write? So how did I organize my material? So that was something that was really hard for me, and it took me a lot of piecing it together. It took me and my publisher a lot of putting the pieces together in reference to the book, because like I mentioned in the beginning, it was all storytelling. And then I was thinking, how can I combine the tattoos and pearls pieces? Because not all the lessons came up while you're going through the wounds, right? Like while you have your wounds, you're not experiencing or realizing the lesson until after the fact. So how could I turn it into a lesson, and how can I share that experience, and how can I share that wisdom with you all? Was definitely difficult for me to write, because I knew the bad experience very well, but then how do I translate into something positive? And so I already knew what I had learned from it. I mean, I'm living proof of all kinds of different things that I've taken advantage of, and all different opportunities that have come because of my hard work. And then now it was all about working with the book coach, because without my book coach, I really wouldn't have been able to get it all together. And that's why it's important to have different types of coaches along the way and all the journeys, because they know how to put it together and how to navigate. And there's also pieces of my story that I left out, that I didn't incorporate into the book, that maybe were necessary at this point in this book. I will definitely most likely write another one. So now it's all about thinking, how do I combine what is it that I want people to take from this book, and how is it that I want them to benefit? So I always had women, minorities, people who normally don't have a voice. And that was the other part, is that I really wanted it to come from a feminine voice, like from a woman's voice. We have so much out there that is from a man's perspective. I wanted to be able to share from my perspective what it is that a woman feels or is going through, and how we navigate that. And not to say that everybody's is the same as mine, but there is some similarity with it. How did I find my voice as a writer, and how does it compare to your voice as a speaker, coach, or business person? Were you concerned with sounding too corporate or too informal? How did you manage tone? So this is interesting. In my voice as a writer, what I really wanted to be is honest. I didn't want to sugarcoat anything. If a bad word came out of my mouth, then I was going to include it in the book. If that's how I felt, then I wanted you to know how I felt. If that's what really happened, I wanted to be as transparent as possible because I didn't want to hold back. Considering that this is my third piece of writing that I've been able to share, it's become easier to find my voice as a writer. And also, what am I writing about? Right? Like, what is it that I want to share? How is it? From what voice am I coming from? From what lens? And so for me, it's been all about leadership. And that's why I make sure that that's what I talk about. I wanted to share vulnerable stories, but also real stories. And I don't want to be too corporate or too informal. So I like to be casual and I like to resonate with people. So that too informal thing really doesn't bug me at all because we're humans. And at the end of the day, we're not everybody's cup of tea. And whoever doesn't resonate with it, they just don't. But I did want to write to people that are like me, real, raw, who say it like it is, who aren't holding back, who aren't sugarcoating anything. And that too corporate crap, I'm not like that too corporate kind of person. I'm a very professional. I know my stuff. I make sure that I am following the rules, the policies, and making sure that I know my thing. And I'm also working with other people to make sure that you get excellence. I mean, I didn't win YMCA award, by being mediocre. I haven't promoted 60% of the people that have gone through my programs without being too excellent, right? Like, there's excellence in everything. Even excellence awards I've given out, created and given out to about 20 people at this point. I mean, probably 30 or 40. I can't even keep count anymore because it's been happening for the past 5 years. So what's important is the fact that I wanted to have a voice and also differentiate myself from others, right? In our community, people like to be about the titles. People like to be about the formalities. And I really want to be a regular person who is showing you the ropes, who is helping you get there, who's not afraid to get dirty, and who's not afraid to do the work, who's not afraid to say, look, let's get in there and let's do this together because we're going to figure this shit out and we're going to keep on going. Right? That's who I want to be. I don't want to be that kind of person who thinks they're too fucking good to help or they're too fucking good to talk to everyday regular folk. And that to me is like unreal, not my cup of tea. And that's not part of my agenda. My agenda is to help the regular person get from frontline, from entry level to executive role, because I want to, my goal, my mission is to get rid of that gender wage gap that we're all experiencing. I mean, I just did a report. It's going to take about 50 years for us to get that gap. So guess what? I don't even care if there's other coaches that do the same thing as I do, because at this point, we need all of you. Everybody needs a coach. Everybody needs a leader to help them to lead, to keep going. So I'm not even worried about who's out there doing it, because there's something for everybody. And I'm not that kind of person that is worried about what you get and what I don't get, because what I get is what I get and what you get is what you get. You have your audience, I have my audience. And so my voice as a speaker is very different, because my voice as a speaker is to shake it up. My voice as a speaker is to make you feel, to make you become. I include my emotions in everything. There's nothing that I don't do that way. And it's kind of ass backwards, because in the corporate world, they say you shouldn't have feelings, or even business people, once you put emotion into it, then you fuck it up. And I beg to differ in a bit, because my emotion has carried me through. My emotion is what helps me connect. My emotion is what helps me understand what I should do, what I shouldn't do, when it's time for me to walk out, when it's time for me to do it, when it's time for me to go, when it's time for me to stand up, and when it's time for me to advocate, when it's time for me to push through, when it's time even for me to relax, take a step back and take it easy. It all helped to me. I don't know why people don't use their emotions, and I don't know why people think that they want to be a robot. Like, we have AI for that. I don't need that shit. We need real people who are doing real things, who are actually in the moment with you, who actually feel and aren't fucking fucked up people that aren't paying you any mind and who don't care. I'm tired of those people. I know a few of them, and it is one of the biggest turnoffs for people. And trust me, you're not motivating anybody by not adding your emotion into things. And I get it. Some of you business people say, don't include it. I mean, I'm not going to be like crying over the top. Not talking about that kind of emotion. I'm talking about where you're paying attention to what you feel and how things are going, and the connection between the person, the chemistry between the business, right? There's things that won't align and you'll know right away. You don't need to have 10 meetings with them to figure out that this person wasn't the right person, right? I could probably find out in the first 5 minutes with somebody that it wasn't going to go right, that I knew they were going to go left. Like, I've had that kind of, and that's actually where the street wisdom comes in, because really quick who is for you and who isn't for you, who's coming for you and who's coming to help you. You recognize that stuff right away. I mean, your instinct will freaking let you know. And that's one of the things that I love about bringing it to the book, the street wisdom that I incorporate in there, and how you can use that in the corporate world. As a coach, I am always the person that is really not about me, it's about them. It's all about them. Has nothing to do with me. You will barely ever hear me talk about myself. And it's all about how I can help you. How can I be your mirror? How I can listen to you? How can I share what I'm seeing in you, and how you are going to get to the next step? As a business person, listen, I am doing as much as I can, and I want to connect with people who are going to be aligned with community and getting to the next level and helping our community get to the next step. Now, the last thing is, how has your book helped build your credibility or open doors in your industry? How have you used the book to attract new clients, speaking engagements, or media attention? So I'm really new to the game, but at the very minimal, what my book has done is 1000% given me credibility. People are really interested in what I'm talking about. People are really interested in seeing what and how, and what I do and what I bring to the table. People can feel my energy all the time. And I'm a very passionate person, and that shows through in everything that I do. And as a matter of fact, what I'm doing is creating different avenues for people to connect with me, because that's what I want. I want people to resonate with me, whether it's through listening to the podcast, reading in my blog, reading my book. Any which way that I can connect with a person is how I want to do it. In my circles with Lean in Latinas New York, if you haven't participated, or you want to join a circle that is really every single month getting together, and we are not only not competitive with each other, we're very supportive and we want to help each other out. Like, that bullshit about women against women, not here at all. Here, I am all about building and connecting. And the best part about this stuff is the fact that I've had other people pitch me for books, and they want me to participate in their anthology series. So at this point, I am very picky as to where I participate and where I don't participate. Speaking engagements, I'm really happy to say that in August, on the 15th, I will be speaking as a panelist for the Take Charge Lean in Latinas conference that's happening in Mountain View, California. So I'm very happy and excited about that. I'll be talking about the impact of being a Lean in Latina circle leader. There is no better way for us to find community than within ourselves and within the leaders of leaders. Like I always talk about having a leader of leaders. We are really getting everything that we need. And in finding new clients, I mean, I have so many people who are reading my books, who are getting the workbook, the companion workbooks, and I am very brand new and fresh into this world of coaching. And my clients are having a great time reading the book and getting to know me. I think that's one of the main things that the book really helped, was to help people get to know who I am, what I'm about, what I've been able to achieve, and how I can help them. The main purpose of the book is to help others, and I want them to see themselves in the mirror. I mean, for so many years, I didn't. For so many years, I was ashamed. For so many years, I was invisible. For so many years, I stayed quiet. For so many years, I didn't even tell people I was married. I didn't tell people I had kids. It was so hard for me. And the reason why was because when I did, I was punished for it, right? Like I wasn't promoted. I wasn't moved up. I wasn't given salary increases because I had kids, because I wasn't at work, because they thought that I couldn't do other jobs because of all this stuff, right? And that's why now I'm not worried about it, because at this point I've built leverage where I have the opportunity and I can say all that is, but back in the day I didn't, and it was much harder, and I felt like I had more to lose than I do now. But the one thing that I'm very happy about is being able to have my book as my business card. And if you haven't gotten your copy, you can get it on Amazon or on my website. It's called Tattoos and Pearls. And also, I will have a challenge coming up in July that I want everybody to come and participate. It'll be a 5-day challenge. We are going to hit the ground running. There's a lot of things going on in this world, but we are going to face it. We are not going to give in to fear. We are going to face everything and rise, not forget about it and run. We are going to face everything and rise. And that was today's episode of Latina Mic Drop, how to go from manuscript to market, turning your book into a business. And I hope that this helps you. And I'm thinking about creating a one-pager of the publishers that I've known and the publishers that, I personally worked with RMP Studios. Feel free to reach out to Adriana Rosales. If you connect with me on LinkedIn, you can find her. You can also find her on YouTube. We both have our own channels, so connect with us there. I'm at Author Miriam Simon on YouTube, Author Miriam Simon on IG. I also have my website, www.miriamsimon.online, and you can find me there. And you can learn all about the book signings, all about the book itself. Also, I contribute to Forbes as an expert panelist. You can see all the articles that I put out. So follow me, and I will see you on next week's episode of Latina Mic Drop. Happy to be here, and we will see each other next week. Take care.